Welcome back to another episode of the Student Athlete Sessions. Today we got a double feature for you, two in one. The hosts of the Not Even D2 podcast,
Yes, sir.
two D3 hoopers. We got KJ Allison, Neruda Perdomo here. Thanks for joining, guys.
Yeah, no doubt. Appreciate you getting us on. I'm a long time listener, so definitely feeling good to be on the show today.
Definitely super excited. Like KJ said, definitely been following for a little bit, and I'm definitely a fan. So excited to finally connect with you.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun. We got three former D3 hoopers here who are out creating content, sharing the level, sharing the message about what's good about D3 sports generally and D3 basketball. So um yeah, I think both of you just maybe to start out, you're both at the tail end of your just finished your D3 basketball careers. Kind of like looking back on that, anything that it stands out to either of you. I think just want to start there.
I'll start. Main thing that sticks out is I went 0-8 against Neruda's team in college, so that I'll just get that out the way. Started off with that comment, and then the rest of the time I won't have like this lift on my shoulder or anything, or this weight on my shoulder. But on a serious note, just like you can't pick out one or two specific moments. I just say overall, just really cherished everything that I've been through, both the highs and the lows. I feel like it taught me a lot. It did a lot to what makes KJ Allison today, and I guess we'll talk about it later. But just the success that I've had throughout my career so far, I think a lot of it has to do with my D3 experience. But I'll let Ruda go off that.
Yeah, I mean, I can only echo kind of the same comments. I had a great time while playing basketball in college, especially at Utica. I took a chance coming out here to upstate New York, not really knowing anyone, but now I'm four years in, finishing my final year, and I made a true community. I met KJ through playing basketball at Utica, and I made countless memories just on the court. Winning a lot of games with Utica, winning conference championships. So it was definitely a great time. I cherish my D3 experience for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna bring it up at some point, KJ. So I'm glad we
We
got the
got it out the way.
acknowledgement.
I don't. That'll be my last comments about it.
Yeah, just for everyone listening, KJ went to Alfred University. Neruda is finishing up at Utica. And if you go back and look at the Empire 8 basketball standings for the past couple of years, Alfred and Utica are always up there. But yeah, Utica has had a pretty good run, either winning the conference outright or the tournament.
It's a
Um,
a funny story, just real quick. So the day before we were about to play each other our senior year, our like families got together. We went out to get pizza, and there was like a little bit of not tension. We were having a good time, but like obviously we're about to be playing against each other the next day. And I told Rude, I was like, "Yo, usually in the locker room, I'm like the guy that might do like a little pregame speech before we walk out there." And the message tomorrow is, yo, nobody in this room has ever beaten Utica, so we got to get it done today. And obviously we didn't get it done, but just the relationship Ruda and I had, it was just funny. Getting to compete against him for like a year and a half since we met each other.
mhm. Yeah, I am curious. Like, what was you talked about getting the chance to meet each other while playing, but like, what was the first connection like, or like, why did two guys from different teams meet?
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously KJ had started the pod in early September, and he had did an episode with one of my former teammates, Darius Hopkins. And, Darius was a great player at Utica, one of the best players to come out the E8 the last 10 years at least. But once I saw that, I listened to the episode, I was like, yo, this is dope. I'm studying communications and media here at Utica, and it was directly related to my major. And, I love telling stories myself. So, I asked a mutual friend of ours that played at Utica, Marcus Gentile. I said, hey, like this kid KJ, he's doing this pod. Can you connect him with me so I could like talk to him about joining it? And Marcus hit me back. He's like, I texted him and KJ said, DM him. And that's how it started. I just DM'd him on Instagram and I was like, yo, bro, I would love to join the pod. I love telling stories, and got on a phone call, and it was just, money from there.
What did you hear in KJ's delivery or style or whatever, what storytelling that you were like, oh, I kind of want to get involved?
He's just an authentic guy. I've say that to anyone. Like he's very personable, and I think, I just seen his personality, and I felt like we would be just great, working together, honestly. Like we would just have great chemistry because, he's funny, he's really smart. I feel like I'm pretty funny myself. So
Facts.
it was just it was a good vibe.
Love that. Hey, KJ, what do you think when this guy from from your rival was texting you saying he wanted to partner up?
It's so funny. So I was actually at a friend's house and we were just chilling and I got this DM saying like this kid wants to join the pod. And I'll be completely transparent. I said to the person I was with, I was like, nah, I'm good. Like just that. I wasn't even gonna respond. And then the friend I was with said like it might not hurt just to hear him out. I was like, still, I'm good. Like you run your own podcast, you know how it feels. Like it's a certain pride. Like I'm doing this by myself. Stuff is rolling for me. I don't want anyone else coming into it. But then once we got on the phone, my like it was a complete 180 kind of instantly. Once we started talking about life, what we're into, our thoughts about basketball, it was like Ruda mentioned some of my personality traits, and then him, I feel like it's a good balance. Like some of the stuff I'm weak at, Ruda kind of balances me, and then in my opinion, some of the stuff that he might be weak at, I balance him. So that was like known pretty clear just or pretty early in our process. So I just feel like it was an opportunity. I don't talk to the friend that I was with, but I can only be grateful that she introduced us together.
Sure.
Yeah, and you guys have created some pretty incredible stuff so far. I mean, excited to see where it goes. I know some big announcements coming soon. It's going to be a big time year of content from the Not Even D2 podcast. So make sure to check them out, like wherever, I would say I've seen y'all on Instagram for sure, Twitter, um, and then where else would you guys want to direct people?
Definitely the YouTube page. That's, we KJ puts a lot of time into those episodes and they come out really good. So make sure people are watching the videos, Spotify, obviously Apple Podcasts, and TikTok too.
Okay.
I have a question for you actually though. So you like we've been doing the Twitter for a little while. It hasn't like gotten much traction. Obviously, it's the D3 community. We like following it and all that stuff. That's why we stay on it. But you have like a really big following on Twitter. So what advice, not just for us, but for anybody on how to like grow a platform?
Yeah. I mean, I think with Twitter, it's something, my brother, when I was getting started with this, was kind of a guide for me. He's younger, but he really understands social media. And one of the things he was saying was just like post consistently for 30 days to get started. And for a while, like it's going to seem like no one cares and no one's interacting. But I think, uh, yeah, just consistency from the start, and then trying to create things that get a conversation going, like share insights. Yeah, obviously, like you guys do a good job of pulling in people from different levels. Like, so you kind of get a broad swath of exposure from that. And I think then just like, yeah, stick with it. Like there have been periods, even now, I don't even know what we're up to, or over 20,000 on Twitter, but there will be days and weeks where we get feels like no engagement, even though
Hmm.
we know it's good stuff that we're putting out and it's helpful. So I think just like more than anything, just stay consistent to your craft and what you're creating and trust that it's good. And then you'll get those moments randomly. I think more from the consistency than anything.
Yeah, that's great advice. It's funny, like Ruda will cook up a reel, and I'll think in my head like, "Yo, there's no way this doesn't go viral," and then
Right.
nobody cares about it. But like you said, like we know it's good work. We know the stories we're pushing out are cool, so it's just about sticking with it. But this
Yeah.
is your show. I feel like I'm talking too much. Go ahead.
No, no, it's good. I mean, I think that's helpful. I would just say too, like general advice. I mean, for people, because obviously we have all started our own things. Like I think one of the things I had to get over was just like a perfectionism, tendency where it'd be like, oh, this could be a little better, so I'm not going to release it, or like, and then maybe it became less relevant. And I think if message for anyone out
Facts.
there is just like, just send it. Like because maybe at the end of the day, 400 people watch it, or like, and it doesn't matter. So don't get hung up on trying to make it perfect.
100%.
Um, but yeah, let's get back into the D3 hoops here. And I just want to talk about the Empire 8 as a conference, because obviously you guys have played for some good teams, but like, and you already mentioned someone who you said maybe it was like a top 10 player in the Empire 8, but like for everyone listening to this who didn't grow up in New York or didn't grow up in maybe the D3 hoops community, like what is the Empire 8? Like sell us on why it's a top 5 D3 hoops conference.
I want to go that far and say it is a top 5 D3 conference, but it's definitely underrated. I'd say that to start. Especially like now moving forward with the additions of Brockport, Geneseo, and Poly. I think it's gonna be a league that continues to grow. But I was like coming into college, I had no idea what the Empire was. I thought I was gonna come in and just dominate off rip, and it didn't go that way. And I think the like in a lot of Division 3 conferences, you can say the bottom teams in a conference can beat the top teams, but you actually see that a lot in the Empire 8. I know this past year, not to throw any shade or anything, but like Ruda's team had a lost in an upset. My team, we were up by 20 points to the team in last place going into the second half. We ended up losing. So I think that's the biggest thing is no team is ever out of any game because the styles kind of are like the yin and yang of each other. So we might be a 3-point shooting team playing against a team that's fully athleticism, things of that nature. So I think there's a lot of balance in the teams that are in the Empire 8, and that creates a league where, every game is interesting. It could be the number 10 seed going against number 1, but it's still like, okay, I might want to watch that because this kid, I don't think they have the matchup to stop him, even though they're 1-10, they can still like upset this game. So that's what I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I think to add on to KJ's point, the potential is there for an E8 school or E8 conference to have, a two-bid league. My sophomore year, Fisher, won the conference and beat us, but we also made the tournament, right? And last couple of years that hasn't happened for the E8, obviously, but the potential is there for programs within the E8 because there's a lot of individual talent. What I'm saying? Obviously at Utica, I mentioned Darius, but we've had, other pros come through here, Justice Brandley, Damian Call, and then my boy Dayon this year, I think is primed. Dayon Thompson is primed from All-American year, but then you look at Naz and they had, Jalen Savage, who was a 4th-team All-American, I think, last year, right? And years past, we've had Dan Cook, so there's a lot of individual talent within the EA, and like I said, the potential is there. And it's an overall like physical conference, a lot of great players, so definitely underrated for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's one of those that, yeah, and you guys mentioned the expansion of the league. Like, I think definitely heading towards a too big setup, and just one of those that flies under the radar. I think for a lot of people who aren't familiar with the level, or again with D3 sports. So
Yeah, like
kid,
real quick, the
yeah,
Brockport, this is a prime example of what I was just talking about. Brockport came into our league and they're a really good team. I think they were undefeated in the league for a while. They beat us by 40 points. And when I say 40, it was like maybe not 40, it might have been 30, but they dominated us. And then they came to our place and like nothing changed. Everybody was healthy, but we beat them. They were the 1 seed. So it's just like, yeah, they beat us by 30, but the next game, the people around the conference know, like, okay, this is gonna be a completely different game. They're coming to Alfred this time. Uh, the confidence is there for this team. They're coming off a big win, so it's just like the expansion was really good too because all 3 of those teams were in playoff contention. So it just made every game feel like if you don't win this, you're risking a chance to be bounced out of the playoffs.
right.
Let me add on to that real quick
Do it.
too.
Yeah,
That I mean, last year KJ brought up how we lost to a bottom team in the conference, and we were, I think we were like a 7th seed in the conference at one point, and we finished 2nd in the conference. Brockport was number 1, and they lost to the 4 seed in the semifinal at their place, right? So the parity in the EA is changing. A lot of individual talent. I will say too, though, I feel like obviously, and you know, they deserve it. But the New England schools get a lot of like coverage within the D3 media space. So sometimes the players from the EA or whatever conference it is might be overlooked a little bit when you put them head to head in a, you know, in a game. The individual talent might not be that much different if you really look at it, but that might be a different conversation too.
That's what the tournament's for, though, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Facts.
For sure.
And, I feel like the E8 schools haven't done like from our perspective, we feel like we can compete at that level, but when they get in the tournament, I don't think that they've done or they've reached their like height or their expectations. But like to maybe the outside media, it's like, yeah, that was supposed to happen. Utica was supposed to lose, or Fisher was supposed to lose, Naz was supposed to lose. But
Yeah.
to me, it's like that I think moving forward, you'll start seeing like more E8 schools being able to make it to Elite Eights or, Sweet 16, stuff like that.
Yeah. Especially, yeah, as the conference is more battle tested during the year, it only bodes well for postseason play. So, um, KJ, I want to go back to something you said early because you said you thought you were going to come in at, at the D3 level at Alfred and just kind of dominate. Like, what did take me into your recruiting process, and then Neruda, I want to get to you too. But like, you grew up in New York, Troy, New York. What were
hmm
you considering other than Alfred, and why'd you end up settling there?
Ah, my recruiting experience was actually crazy, and I feel like I don't even like talking about it because I still get kind of mad. But I'll give you some insight. So my junior year, we made it to the sectional finals. We had a pretty good team. I had a good year. We lost in the finals to like the number 3 ranked team in the state. They were McKeel Christian Academy. They were really good. But anyways, like everybody in the locker room was crying, and I was fine. Like I was smiling. I made all tournament team. I just had 20 points against the number 3 team in the state, and I got next year coming up. Next year is gonna be my team. I'm not gonna have to because I was the number 2 option at the time. It's gonna be my team. And then COVID came around, so senior year, and Lansingburg, the high school I went to, was the only school in the whole section that didn't have a season. So like during COVID, there was a lot of teams that they would have mask on or you would play limited games, but it's still like a year to get recruited, a year for film. I didn't have any of that. So that whole year, like going into that year, I was talking to some Division twos, a lot of Division threes, in the East region, the D2s, so people know I'm not capping St. Rose, Roberts Wesleyan. Um, and then once I was like, I don't have a season, like there's no way for you to really keep recruiting me. They kind of like forgot about me. So there was only one school that kind of stayed persistent, and it was Alfred. Coach Adam Beam and uh, Coach Russ. But when I was like getting recruited, Coach Russ texted me a week before and was like, "Hey man, I'm taking a job at Nazareth, so I'm not gonna be the coach anymore." So then now I'm like, I don't have anywhere to go. The coach is leaving. Nobody really's recruiting me. I didn't play all year. So it kind of just like a bet on I'm not on myself, but just like on Alfred University. It wasn't because of basketball at that point. We ended up getting RPI's assistant, Coach Eric Kemphy, which is a great coach. But yeah, so my recruitment was kind of all over the place. There was some highs in it. There was some really lows where I was like, I don't even want to play basketball at this point. Like I'll just go to I have good grades, so I was thinking about going to U Miami, just calling it a career. But I'm glad that I chose Alfred University, and that's my story.
Nah, that's a dope story, KJ. I didn't think I heard that one before.
Yeah, like I said, my blood's kind of boiling right now.
You really ran into every potential roadblock, like season interrupted, coach change.
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
yeah. I mean, I think it's a good message though for kids like who hear this and want to play a sport is like at the end of the day, you were interested in Alfred because the coach was interested in you, but like you also evaluated the school, you had grades, like you weren't just going for sports. So here you are now, 4 years later, you've graduated and you had a good career and like it set you up for now you're at a master's program at NYU. So like
Yeah,
it all worked out
100%. I couldn't be more grateful for how it happened, but it's also um, like eventually stuff in your career isn't gonna go how you want it. So if you go to a school strictly for basketball or strictly for a coach, there's gonna be moments where you're like, I shouldn't have went here. But for me, it was like I was happy with Alfred. So even later in my career, when stuff started going on a downhill slope in terms of basketball, there was still stuff uplifting, like the other aspects of college that kept me around. So yeah,
for
exactly.
sure.
Yeah, I guess I'll talk about my recruiting story. So with me, basketball, it's always been like kind of a roller coaster ride. I started playing basketball pretty late, honestly, probably relative like other kids. I started playing basketball when I was 11, 12 years old. And, so that means kind of my development, took a little bit longer because I had to like learn how to really play the game. And, right around COVID time, 2019, 2020, obviously kind of everything shut down. I was able to get into a gym and like pretty much work out the whole year, the whole summer while everything else was shut down. And that's what I really seen the development of my game. I started playing AAU and, I had a couple of coaches like texting me like Plymouth State, obviously Utica, College. I had messaged them a couple of times and talked to them on manual. But honestly, I felt, Utica was really the only one that was really like, yo, we're offering you a spot and like we would love to have you. And my coach at the time was just telling me like, hey, like you got a coach and a coaching staff that believes in you and like you love the game and you want to get better. Like you're gonna have to work for an opportunity there, but like just take that opportunity and go for it, especially if you like the school. And we ended up touring the school and they had a radio station here. The communication and media program here is really cool. They offer a lot for the students and I met a lot of the guys here on my visit, and it just seemed like an environment that I wanted to be in. So that's kind of my recruiting story. Like it was very minimal, like I said. It was really, like I said, Utica was the only true school that offered me, but I was definitely glad that I made that decision to come here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I from what I understand, you had a radio show or still have a radio show. Is that right?
Yeah, so I still do stuff like here at the WPNR like station, and I did have a radio show my freshman and sophomore year, and that was really cool for sure.
What time were you broadcasting and what was the substance of the show?
Yeah, so pretty much it was I think I was at 10 a.m., 10 to 11 a.m. So it was a pretty nice spot in the morning. And I would just play music, man. I would just, I love music. KJ can attest to it. My Apple Music, Spotify, like I have both apps and I'll listen to whatever. I'll try out different songs. So on the radio, I would play songs that the radio station had and just, whatever the vibe fit that morning, I would play, country or, Biggie and Tupac, Jay-Z, whatever it is, Drake. It just depended on the vibe, and people enjoyed it, I think.
Yeah.
Uh, if people need a DJ, hit up Ruda. I got a quick story. He came to Alfred for my senior year formal, and it was like a fun night. It was good vibes, and then it started to like die down. Like, it wasn't as fun, and Ruda was like, he whispered in my ear, he tapped me. He was like, "Hold up, bro, I got this." And then he just took over the aux, and yo, the party just got to level 10 right back again.
True story,
Uh,
bro. True story.
I love that. Seasoned professional, just undercover at the party. Oh man. Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's so important to have those like things other than basketball, other than your sport, like beyond school, just because both school and sports can be tough at times. Like, and that combination, like you're gonna be missing shots in hoops and then maybe not getting playing time, and then you get a bad test grade. And it's like if you don't have that other thing to whether it's friends or I don't know, to pull you out or just give you a little bit of perspective. So I'm sure that 10 to 11 a.m. slot was a nice little like sanctuary away from all the need to like be competitive and perform in the classroom. Um, but
For sure. It was like the early days of me like just speaking on the radio and talking into a mic, like just getting, I didn't know that I was going to do the podcast, so many years later, but it was the early days of crafting the love, you know, crafting a love outside of basketball and finding hobbies that, you know, because I don't like to be defined like as a athlete. Like, you know, a lot of Division III athletes that I've met, like, which is fine, like their whole sport is their as who they are. Like a football player, like will walk into the classroom and be like, oh yeah, I play football. Yeah, my football game taught me a lot. Where I'm of the mindset like, yeah, basketball has taught me a lot, but I'm getting other life lessons from doing the pod or going on trips. Like it doesn't define, like my sport doesn't define like my actions or how I carry myself.
Mm. KJ, what's that for you? Other than, you started the pod, but was there anything else while you were at Alfred?
Like in terms of media aspect?
In terms of some other pursuit, some other outlet, what were you getting up to?
Yeah, I mean, I was really active in Alfred. So they have a school newspaper. I wrote sports for the Fiat Lux. They also have a radio station. I didn't do much. I'm a part of the club, but I didn't like host my own segment. I wasn't as cool as Ruda. Um, I was on like the student advisory athletic committee or athlete committee, so SAC. I was a part of the AD advisory committee. I hosted like panels for Hall of Fame weekend. I spoke at like um student welcome week. I was a speaker at some of the panels for that. So I was just like a representative of Alfred. So like Ruda said, basketball kind of brought me there and it teaches me a lot, but it's like 10% of KJ's life, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Like when that ball stops bouncing, there's still so much to you, so much more that you're going to go out and contribute to the world and share. So
Facts.
yeah, and I think from both of you guys, it seems like that was recognized in the community. Uh, KJ, I have down that you were the ideal Saxon Award winner back in May 5th.
Yeah, that was great. It was so because the year before, the ideal Saxon person was a football player, and he like has the record for most tackles in Alfred University history, and we have a good football program. He was just a really good sports player, and I'm not whack at basketball, but I wasn't like the best. So when they do like an award show, all the athletes are there. So when they were presenting the award, everybody was like, who's gonna win it this year? And I was not expecting it to be me. So when they called me, I started like shaking and stuff. I heard people in the crowd like uh they like put my accomplishments, they put my points in my game. So people in the crowd were like doing my career numbers and it was like 4 points a game or something. But it just speaks to like how much I brought to that community and that college because I'm recognized as like the athlete award, even though my stats or my production wasn't as much as probably a lot of the top athletes around the school.
Yeah, and I think Neruda, on your side, I saw you were the Empire 8 Sportsman of the Year for Utica, and like so I would say, what did that kind of mean to you? That was as a junior.
Yeah, that was super cool, man. That was actually the year that we won our first conference championship, at least while I was here. So then a couple of the guys got first team all conference too, like my boy Justice and Dame. It was a super dope day to win that. But yeah, I didn't know that was gonna happen. I woke up and saw it on the Empire or Utica Instagram that I had won it, so I was like, oh, this is cool, to be recognized for it. And yeah, no, I like I said, I do the radio stuff on campus, and that's obviously I played basketball at Utica too, but I would say just I try to connect with a lot of people though. I'm not doing as KJ listed off a lot of great things that he was doing at Alfred, and I didn't do a lot of those things, but definitely try to connect with everyone and just be friendly and become a known face on campus.
Yeah, and I would just ask a question to you guys because something I try to emphasize often to kids is like, because this was my situation in high school. Like I was not the best player on my team, but I'm just trying to find ways to contribute that got me a college opportunity. And then like, once you're in that situation, you can get better. But I think just like trying to emphasize maybe like what as guys that maybe weren't the star players, but like played on very successful programs and contributed, like what to you guys was the value of that role, and like what would you say to recruits who are like, oh, I don't want to be a, I don't want to sit on the bench, or like I want to be the star at a school, and that's the only thing I'm going to do.
Yeah, I think for me, like you mentioned, like Utica has been really good last couple of years. And just the process on a year-to-year basis of like nothing was ever like given to me as a player. So I had to like kind of earn my opportunities and earn anything that I got. And I loved that part of it. I love like the grind. I love like, putting in work with my teammates, trying to get better. And that's what I would say to, future athletes that come into D3 schools, like, especially if you're going to a good team, like, learn from the older guys in the locker room, like, get yourself in the gym and, like, figure out what you need to improve on a day-to-day basis, because I promise you the return from that is well worth it.
Yeah, I think I had, and this was late in my career, but I had to learn that not everybody's gonna be the best player, and the main takeaway is every team needs a 15th man. And I'm not saying I was the 15th man, but it's really important that regardless if you're playing 1 minute or 40 minutes, that you keep that energy just as if you're the star player. And I'll bring up an example. So going into my junior year, like coach and I had a meeting and he was like, I'm giving you the keys to the car. So I was expected to be like the best player on the team, all that. And then by the end of my junior year, I was getting DMPs. So, and this was like a horrible experience for me. Life was sucked and I didn't want to play. He would ask if I want to go in towards the end of the game. I would be like, no. But it taught me a lot, like reflecting on it now, how kind of in quotes corny that was or childish, just like, yeah, you might not be playing, but those are still your best friends, your boys on the court. Like you still owe them, you owe the program, you owe the school, like that respect to still be the first one off the bench to cheer them on, come into practice with the most energy. You're an older guy now, so you saying no to your coach when he asks you to go in is like a sign that you're not really mature. And like I said, I had to learn that, but I'm glad that it came during my college career instead of when I was out of it. But to circle back, like every team needs somebody that is willing to sacrifice the minutes for like the energy or the hype man on the bench, stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a perfect segue into another thing I want to talk about with you guys, which is the We Are D3 run this past year. Really balanced team. Obviously, there were the stars. There were the Ty Nichols of the run, who really, carried the team at times. But you guys, I think this was your second year, as far as I'm aware, as kind of doing a behind the scenes content look. What was it like being around that squad, for the run, and maybe like one or two fun stories from that experience?
There's so many stories. Some of them I don't know if we can really say on air, but Ruda probably would have mentioned this, so my bad if you were, but it was his birthday. Like the tournament resides on his birthday each year. So that's the first thing I'd say is like I got to spend Ruda's 21st and 22nd, right? Or 22nd.
22nd and 23rd.
Yeah, so 22nd and 23rd birthday with him, and both times like we ended up doing something and it was a good time. But I'd say like the first year we were still kind of like new in the media space, and I kind of looked at some of the guys like, yo, I'm about to go cover Ty Nichols, or I'm about to be in the presence of like D3 All-Americans, and it was like, wow. And then transitioning to this year, like those are like our actual friends. So it was just cool to see like how our trajectory kind of rose with the team as well. But talk about this run, like I make the joke that even though we weren't playing after we already three made the run, people were like tagging us saying like, "Yo, I see you on TV," stuff like that. So it was cool just seeing how our work and our spotlight kind of also made it, along with obviously like their great play. Um, I'll wait for Ruda's story if he wants to mention a few stories or his um kind of perspective on the team.
Yeah, nah, it was definitely, unforgettable experience both times. And I think what's like kind of cool about being with the team is that like our first year covering them, they won a game in the tournament, and then they lost to Heartfire the next game. But it was like you saw the potential of what could be. You were like, yo, like
For sure.
they're right there, and you and KJ and I are covering. But then again, KJ and I are looking back, and this was a year ago, but we're like seeing the potential of what we could be. So now, this past summer, they go on that crazy run, and it was kind of cool because now KJ and I are coming to the event with like professional mics and like knowing what content we want to create throughout the week, and just had a different attitude because we're growing along with them. So it was kind of cool in that aspect. And their run was awesome. They put a lot of people on the map just in terms of Division III hoops, playing Boeheim's Army, who had guys who have played in the NBA like Elijah Hughes, Jacob Gilliard, Buddy Boeheim, and they got them boys out of there. And just stories, I think, like I said, KJ, being there with KJ off for my birthday both years was like mad cool, especially last year in Q's, because a lot of my boys was in the area, and we went out after they beat Lane's Hope on that Saturday, and that was a dope night. Some of the guys met us out at the bar, and like hanging out with them was cool. So just an overall like great experience both years, like except being in Dayton 2 summers ago. That was kind of whack, but it was dope for sure.
Yeah, I know. It seemed like a pretty great run, and I would say, to your point about potential and what you guys could become, like I definitely noticed your content from year one to year two was like a massive step up, and just like both the creativity of what you guys were willing to try, and then also like I think the level of perspective that you brought to fans. So
Appreciate
yeah,
that.
compliment you on that, and I think just a willingness to go, right, like obviously Syracuse is close to some of your family, and but what people don't see behind the scenes is that like you have to pay for these things, and you have to get yourself there, and like you're not on the hotel list for the team. So I think just shout out to you guys for being willing to like sink those costs and take the risk, and I think the product will only continue to get better from your side of things. So
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think that like that could be kind of resembled to all the people that's covering Division III. Like I'm assuming you have a job, but I know like Bob Quillman has a full-time job. The D3 Datic has brothers. They work. They like you're spending valuable leisure time to cover these D3 student athletes or these D3 games. So like you gotta sometimes just take a minute and send those like, yo, appreciate you covering my game or appreciate you making this trip out. Cause it's like it really could be like Division II where you're not getting any type of exposure or media. Those guys probably would beg for Bob Quillman or D3 Direct to come to their games and cover that. So I think it should be like talked about more, the sacrifices that all of us kind of make.
yeah, for sure. I will say I just quit a month ago, my full-time job, so I'm giving this D3 Direct a full run, and
Good for you. Good for
yeah,
you.
man.
There's power in working for yourself for sure.
Yeah,
Like you said in the beginning, like stay at it, keep consistent, and the rewards to that will follow.
for sure. Yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes, and it hopefully frees me up to have time to do things like get to the TBT, which is something I've been wanting to do. And uh, but yeah, I would say back to you guys. I want to be conscious of the time. I know we got to cut off here, so with two people, I want to save time for the last question we always ask everyone, which is, and you guys can pick who goes first here, but if you were to go back and talk to your 18-year-old self, what advice would you give 18-year-old KJ and 18-year-old Neruda?
You want to go first?
You go first, Kay. I got to think about that.
Yeah, I was hoping Rudy was like, yeah, I got it. Advice for my 18-year-old self. Whew, I can say a lot. Probably just like be so focused on your journey and put yourself out there more to be able to grow. I like something I'm big on right now is growth and constantly trying to be a better version of myself, but that can't really happen when you're looking at, oh, this person's just scored 20, or this person has 1,000 followers more than me. You can't be super inwards and watering your own grass. And then my other thing, and I'm gonna steal this from our next guest. He was saying basically like, don't be so like, yeah, you might not make it to the NBA based off you getting in the gym or putting in hours for yourself. But if you like doing it, like, don't worry about the what's to come from it. Just be so focused on like the process and enjoying what you enjoy. So that'd be my advice for myself. I wish I had that when I was 18.
Yeah.
No, definitely great advice from a special guest. I would say for, what I would tell myself when I was 18 years old, like similar to what KJ said, just like focus on your own journey. Like, a lot of other people, like they might get to success faster, or they might get the followers faster. But as long as you stay focused and present in what you're doing, like the good stuff will come. And just try to stay in the moment. Like playing college basketball, like I'm grateful and I'm like fine with how my career ended, but I also can understand that I do miss some of those memories. I will miss, being in practices or, being on the bus and competing every day. Like those type of things I'm a miss. So just as an 18-year-old, just enjoy it, work your tail off and live in the moment.
Yeah. Guys, excellent advice for any kids out there listening. Two guys to look at their careers and this is a model for success, right? Like appreciated by their communities for the contributions they put in on the court, in the classroom, off it, uh, and doing big things in the world. Neruda is joining the coaching staff potentially this year with Utica. KJ's at one of the best schools in the world, getting a master's degree. So, yeah, take this advice to heart. Listen to what they're telling their past selves, and hopefully it puts you guys in a better position.
Yeah, appreciate that. And don't forget about yourself. You a business owner now, D3 Direct. You about to get money from that too. So we all, like I said, just keep striving for the best, be the best version of Carl, be the best version of KJ, etc. And eventually, like the success that you're looking for at this moment, it'll come when you're just doing the right things each day and trying to keep improving.
Beautiful. Guys, thanks for joining. This has been another episode of Student Athlete Sessions with our guests KJ and Neruda. Remember, they have the Not Even D2 podcast. Check them out on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to that to help grow their channel, Instagram, TikTok, all the platforms, Spotify and Apple Podcasts for listening. And just stay tuned for what they have coming. They've given me a little preview, and it's going to be big. So
Yes,
I would
sir.
just say stay locked in with Not Even D2 this year.
Appreciate you having us on for sure.
For sure.
All right.
Appreciate you, Carl.
You guys have a good week. We'll
Yes,
see you
sir.
guys soon on the next episode. Thanks for listening.